The Supreme Court just allowed the deportations for 8 migrants to a third country. Immigration advocates say these men could now face imprisonment, torture, or even death. The U.S. Supreme Court just cleared the way for the deportation of 8 migrants to South Sudan, a country that is, at the moment, facing escalating political violence and possible civil war. And yet, they're not from South Sudan. They're from Djibouti. So, why are they being deported to a country they have no ties to and no clear way to protect themselves? A federal judge in Massachusetts, Judge Brian Murphy, had ruled that even if these men had a final removal order, they should be given a chance to argue using the Convention Against Torture. The Convention Against Torture is an international human rights treaty that says no country can send a person to another country if there are substantial grounds to believe they would be tortured there. The U.S. ratified this treaty in 1994, and that means it's been written into U.S. immigration law and must be followed. Immigration authorities must give them a hearing to present evidence. Then an immigration judge decides whether there's a greater than 50% chance of torture if deported. If the claim is accepted, the person can still be deported, but not to that particular country. In the case of the 8 migrants, they did not get the chance to raise a CAT claim, not because they didn't have one, but because the legal process to do so was blocked. Judge Murphy had ordered the government to let them make CAT arguments before being deported to South Sudan. But the Supreme Court's ruling overrode that order, saying the prior stay made any further legal process unenforceable. Supporters of the ruling call it a victory for law and order. Critics argue that the court is favoring the administration and skipping due process. The individuals being deported are not typical asylum seekers or nonviolent migrants. They include people convicted of murder, sexual abuse of minors, and armed assault. The government argues that giving these individuals more procedural opportunities creates a delay that endangers the public and undermines immigration enforcement. In this view, the risk of harm to others outweighs the uncertain risk to them. To be clear, this ruling is more of a procedural green light for this specific case, but it could influence how lower courts and agencies act going forward, knowing the Supreme Court might back the executive branch when it comes to expedited deportations. What do you think? Should people facing deportation still get a hearing if they fear torture? Or was the Supreme Court right to let the process move faster?